Carlos Alcaraz has won the last 2 Grand Slam titles at the French Open on the clay and at Wimbledon earlier this summer. He enters as the favorite.
You have a bunch of depth there. Francis Tiafoe, Ben Shelton. They will likely play in round 3. The winner would play Djokovic, most likely, which would be an incredible match. I like Ben Shelton as a sleeper. If Djokovic is hurt, you never know. I think Shelton could actually be the guy that gets hot. The conditions favor him.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Hey, let's say it comes down for Matt Kuchar in the FedEx Cup fall. Let's say he doesn't make a cut, and it comes down to one shot. And
that's a good point.
And he keeps his card for the top 125 because he did make the jump from, I think it was 113 to 103. So he made a 10-spot jump. So he's got, 17, or let's see, that was not good math. He's got about 20.
Not a bad one. The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
We're into a different regime, different ownership, different head coach. I like the head coach. Dan Quinn is a good football man. He has been around where he's been. They have won. Yes, he's had some talent there.
I'm incredibly excited for what this brings to the team. The defense, I think, is underrated. I think this is a good football team. And also, you talk about extending drives. I think Daniels has that ability. And that's something that hasn't been seen in Washington for quite some time.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship.
The golf has been mesmerizing.
They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go!
That's what champions do.
Hello and welcome to a Thursday live right here on the early line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. That includes sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination and consume everything all across the grid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. We are here together for the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern Time, bright and early on this Thursday. A Thursday that officially kicks off week number 1 of the 2024 college football season. 21, let me repeat that, 21 FBS college football games on this Thursday evening slate. We have 4 ranked teams in action, and maybe the best game of the night is Deion Sanders and Colorado's debut in year number 2 against FCS powerhouse North Dakota State in Boulder. We will get you set for everything you need to know on this Thursday night slate that officially starts week number 1 in college football. Oh yeah, we're a week away from the NFL season debut in Kansas City inside Arrowhead Stadium. Some decisions made yesterday around rosters in the National Football League. And of course, it's another day in MLB. A recap of the Major League Baseball slate from a jam-packed Wednesday night. All of that here and more, DRS, over the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern.
Oh, it should be a good one, no doubt about it. It feels like we've been talking about some of these college football games for months on end. The same thing as we're going to set up next week for week number 1 in the NFL. So we got a lot of, crossing those T's, dotting those I's tonight. Referendum games on programs and coaches. That's how we love to start a Thursday. And once again, I do want to give a shout out to NCAA football. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. That's how you officially open the season. We love to see that.
Yeah, we certainly do. Yes, it will be a couple of FBS programs taking on an FCS foe. That includes in Colorado tonight, but it's not necessarily your normal FBS FCS game that features a 4-5 touchdown spread. Not the case tonight at Folsom Field in Boulder. But we start up a level in the NFL. Finally, after a long training camp and all 3 weeks of the preseason, the Pittsburgh Steelers have made their determination of who is going to start at quarterback week number 1 in Atlanta. It was slightly expected, and now it is confirmed. Russell Wilson is the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Mike Tomlin told this exact detail back in what? March or April. No matter what happens to this franchise, if Russell Wilson cannot play, if Russell Wilson lost a left leg or a left arm or right arm or whatever was happening, he was going to be your starting quarterback. Don't anybody read this and be like, wow, that's interesting. I thought Fields had a chance. Fields never had a chance to be the week 1 quarterback. Mike Tomlin and the Steelers told you that the minute Justin Fields came to town. You could have announced this months ago and took away the whole charade of, hey, let these guys play it out in camp. They were never playing it out in Camp Ben. Not one time. Russ was always going to be the starter, whether or not he even deserved it.
And as we shared on the New Jersey site of the FanDuel Sportsbook, there were these hypothetical odds out for which quarterback would be a week 1 starter for various franchises. We saw it in New England. We saw it in Denver, and namely here in the Steel City. Russell Wilson at times greater than a $6 odds-on favorite to be that week 1 starter, and that is what he is. Justin Fields is the reserve in the Steel City. The Pittsburgh Steelers start week number 1 on the road in Atlanta as their now offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, hopes to provide a spark for a dormant Steelers offense the last few years in his former home of Atlanta. Now, some wide receiver issues around the NFL. After CeeDee Lamb got paid, Brandon Ayuk and Jamar Chase are both saying, all right, where's my big contract extension? Brandon Ayuk, who has not been there for San Francisco all training camp long, or at least practicing for San Francisco all training camp long. He actually reported to training camp, was medically cleared yesterday by the doctors, as Ayuk said he was dealing with some sort of injury issues, so he could practice. He just didn't yesterday by the Bay.
Yeah, and also read a beat reporter's report that basically is tied into the front office that says now that CeeDee Lamb got his money, you can expect Ayuk not to get his money because that would reset the market. So we're anticipating Brandon Ayuk not practicing all summer long because he wanted a new contract, but yet he's going to show up this week and start to practice hard and get back on the field. This is headed for a disaster for the 49ers that never had to get here. I understand next year you're projected to be way over the salary cap because you have to sign Brock Purdy. We're not worried about next year. You can restructure contracts and get right under that cap. This is a nightmare scenario for one of the better wide receivers in football that should have been paid and should have been in camp, and the 49ers should be focused on winning a Super Bowl, and they're not right now.
It is a little bit intriguing, though, because CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, all first-round selections in 2020. Jamar Chase, a top 10 pick in 2021, but still looking for that new contract extension entering his 4th NFL season. Earlier this week, Bengals head coach Zach Taylor said, listen, Jamar Chase is going to be out there for practice this week to gear up for week number 1. And then Jamar Chase yesterday showed up late to practice in street clothes and did not truly participate. Taylor said, okay, I put my foot in my mouth a little bit. It's more of a day-to-day thing, as it has been. Donnie Rightside has been all over the contract situation in Cincy for Jamar Chase. What is DRS's take?
If we ain't paying them, we fading them, Ben. That's going to be put on a T-shirt this year because there's no way, shape, or form I'm stepping into that Bengals realm and saying they can win a Super Bowl when their wide receiver right now can't stand that organization. All you had to do was pay the guy. Your boy DRS would be on board like, you know what? Bengals got a bright future right now. So what we actually anticipated here, Ben, in this scenario was the fact that Jamar Chase was screaming and unhappy everybody's getting paid, and then over 24 to 48 hours, like, yeah, you know what? We expect them for game number 1, and everything is going to be fine. I love the fact it's like, oh yeah, everything's fine. I'm just going to wear shorts, a T-shirt, maybe throw in a hat and some sunglasses and straw out 15 minutes late to practice to make you understand I am not playing until I get a contract here. Bengals, just sign the check. Have a good season. It's not that hard.
And it would be beneficial to you because you could match Justin Jefferson, not raise what Minnesota did, and then average it out over the final 2 years of Jamar Chase's deal. We need to work in front offices, DRS. We would save a lot of people a lot of headaches. The Bengals, though, week number 1 at home in Cincy, a 9.5-point favorite against the Patriots. I don't even think they need Jamar Chase. It's the largest spread of week number 1. Yesterday in Philadelphia, the Astros looking to get on the board against the Phils, and they do so in a big way. Spencer Arrighetti takes a no-hit bid in Philly into the 8th inning, and then the Phillies scratch across at least a couple of base knocks, but they were shut out in total as Yordan Alvarez hits 3 long balls for Houston. The Astros win big, 10-0.
The fans couldn't believe that Taijuan Walker was making another appearance for the Philadelphia Phillies. So I say this as a Philadelphia Phillies fan. Yesterday might have been a great day at the ballpark. What? They almost got no hit on it. They lost by 10 runs. Yeah, Taijuan Walker will never see the mound again. So maybe you sacrifice a hilariously embarrassing loss just to know what the fans already knew, that Taijuan Walker can't pitch. And you might say to me, Ben, well, it was a 10-0 game. The bats did nothing for the Philadelphia Phillies. You tell me this. You show up to the ballpark knowing you have absolutely no chance to win with Taijuan Walker in the mound. Yeah, you're going to go in the tank as well. I'm like, let's just get to that Braves series, get this loss out of the way. Embarrassing for Rob Thompson to throw Taijuan Walker out there. Stupid.
Four-game slate against the Braves starts today and over the weekend in Philadelphia. The Cubbies spoil Skeens Day in Pittsburgh. Wow. They were down a ton entering the 7th inning. They score 11 unanswered, including 6 in the 9th to come all the way back and win 14-10 over the Buccos.
I mean, come on now. If you had the Pittsburgh Pirates yesterday, run line, whatever you had them on, that's an easy victory. And not only do you lose the game, you get beat by 4 runs. That's a tough scene. I was actually listening to Coast to Coast yesterday. Cam and also Pharrell melting down on the air live while that was taking place. It was pretty good radio.
The Cubs, 2 games above 500. Caitlin Clark continues to make history in the WNBA. The rookie 3-point record, now 88, as Indiana beats Connecticut. The Liberty's shocked by the Sparks, who went outright as a 12.5-point dog. And I was at the U.S. Open last night. Taylor Fritz a win, among others, on Wednesday night at the U.S. Open. More on the early line next.
Sharpest football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Carlos Alcaraz has won the last 2 Grand Slam titles at the French Open on the clay and at Wimbledon earlier this summer. He enters as the favorite.
You have a bunch of depth there. Francis Tiafoe, Ben Shelton. They will likely play in round 3. The winner would play Djokovic, most likely, which would be an incredible match. I like Ben Shelton as a sleeper. If Djokovic is hurt, you never know. I think Shelton's actually the guy that gets hot. The conditions favor him.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
When you're really, really amazing like this, people kind of take it for granted. Same with Ohtani, right? People will sort of see, Ohtani did this, Ohtani did that, and it sort of, becomes normalized a little bit. But to put in context, Aaron Judge joins the 1,000 hit club, reaches, gets it done. So earlier this month, he was the fastest player to reach 300 home runs ever.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The leftover language would be the million shy of what Jefferson makes Jefferson a better player. If you want to believe that, I'm not sure I buy that he's that much better than CeeDee Lamb.
Tony Pollard's gone. He's now with the Titans. I was with the Titans a couple weeks ago. He'll be their starting running back there. They're going a different direction in Dallas, but it's all about CeeDee Lamb right now, the first of the other deals that they have to get done.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We start with quarterback decisions around the National Football League. We'll get to the Steelers in a moment, but breaking news in the last few minutes, live right here on the early line. In Foxborough, Gerard Mayo informed his team yesterday and made it public today that the veteran, Jacoby Brissett, has been named the starter for the Pats week number 1 in Cincinnati. A guy that entering training camp, rookie head coach Gerard Mayo said was the most pro-ready quarterback we have on the roster, but then followed that up after the Patriots preseason finale on Sunday night, saying Drake May has outplayed Jacoby Brissett so far throughout camp and preseason contest, but they go with a veteran presence, which we think is the right decision, despite how this situation was handled up in New England. The Patriots named Jacoby Brissett their starting quarterback.
And I'm going to double down here on what Ben just said. The right decision was made for Jacoby Brissett to start, even though he's not the better quarterback. Don't kill your young quarterback trying to get into bad habits by having a horrendous football team. Let him play later in the season when all the pressure is away, and it looks like you're just trying to get on to next year. Having said that, tell me you don't know how to be a head coach without telling me you don't know how to be a head coach. The reason I bring that up is, are we playing high school games? You come out yesterday and make it basically a press release. I know who my starter is going to be. I'm just not going to tell anybody till tomorrow when I meet with. Stop the madness, man. Just I understand that you've been elevated to head coach. You were handpicked by the owner and all that. But this is just amateur stuff here by a head coach. Command the room. When you make your decision, pick the phone up. Call both of those quarterbacks, then tell your team. I'm pretty sure like every company has like a Slack chat or an email chain or a text chain that says, from the coach, moving forward, here is our quarterback, Jacoby Brissett. Meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Let's get this season started. Instead, by telling the press, I know, but nobody else knows, I'm going to sit it out 24 hours, then tell my team. Madness here in New England. Did they make the wrong pick as a head coach? Look, that's going to play out on the field. But I don't like a single thing that has came out of New England over the past 6 to 8 months here, including naming Gerard Mayo the head coach at this point.
Yeah, so I believe in Gerard Mayo, but he does not necessarily have it figured out in how to deal with media attention on the Patriots right now. Needs to learn from the guy that was there before, who he both played and coached under, Bill Belichick, just a little bit. You have to have a clear line of direction, at least in what you are telling the public and then what you are saying inside the locker room. Jacoby Brissett, a veteran in the National Football League, has been around for 8 seasons. This is his 5th team in the last 8 seasons. It is technically just his 5th team overall, as he started his career in New England back in 2016 as well. He is that veteran. He knows the lay of the land, I guess, in Foxborough. But more than anything, this was the right call, DRS, and we'll continue to dive into it in just a little bit, because the Patriots have the lowest win total in the National Football League this year at only 4.5. As you heard really well stated from George Pilecki of Nesson earlier this week, everything else on the roster, skill positions, wide receivers, the offensive line, first and foremost, is a disaster. You do not need to thrust Drake May into that spot to have the finger pointed at him and the blame cast on him from the very start, when really it's not his responsibility or fault. So you send out Jacoby Brissett. Is he a sacrificial lamb? I don't think he would use those words, but a little bit so. And the Pats have the second most difficult schedule in the National Football League. I'm not entirely sure when we see Drake May, but I don't expect it to probably happen until week 7, week 8, maybe even week 9. I think the Patriots' bye is really late this year, week 13 or 14.
Yeah, and I know even back in the day, they don't do this so much anymore, Ben, but you can certainly have packages for Drake May throughout the season to say, all right, when we're in the certain set, second quarter, first series is yours. I know it sounds really college and high schoolish, but at the same time, there is no perfect time, as we said, to break in Drake May. Unless we're all reading the New England Patriots wrong, and they're going to start the season 5-1 with that schedule, we're right about this. Yeah. Let Jacoby Brissett take his lumps, ease Drake May into it. There's no reason to rush him, and that's really against the grain in today's NFL. You draft a quarterback high up in the first round, he is expected to start day number 1, but this team is so bad that you're saying to yourself, we don't want to ruin our young quarterback because our team is so. What does that say for the owner? What does that say for the general manager? What does that say for the head coach? That's embarrassing.
The Patriots, a 9.5-point underdog week number 1 on the road against the Bengals. Again, by far the largest spread of the opening weekend of the NFL season. Then at home versus Seattle, a visit to the Jets, a visit to the Niners. That's the first month. Home against Miami, home against Houston, London game against Jacksonville, home to end out October against the New York Jets. the first game that New England might be a field goal favorite or less probably comes week number 9 in Nashville against the Titans. Could that be the first time we truly see Drake May take the mantle for the Patriots and get his first career start? That's the quarterback situation at this moment in Foxborough. Now we go to Pittsburgh, where it also followed what we expected, but the road to get here might have been a little bit shaky and bumpy. The Steelers yesterday officially naming Russell Wilson their Week 1 starting quarterback. He wins the job in the Steel City over Justin Fields.
I'm not saying this either is the wrong decision, Ben, by any means. Like, you basically did bring Russell Wilson in to be your starting quarterback, understandably, or you wouldn't have brought him in at all. You also brought in Justin Fields as a chance to get a look-see at a young quarterback that could actually be your franchise guy. But I love when these releases come out because I ripped Gerard Mayo for the way he's handling the quarterback situation, not for the starter himself, but the way he brought the starter up and said, I'm going to wait 24, 48 hours, whatever it might be. But now I look at Mike Tomlin. I don't have anything against Mike Tomlin. He told you day number 1, Justin Fields never had a chance to start. Didn't matter what Justin Fields did or any situation. And Russ missed a good chunk of training camp and yet was still going into scrimmages where he would be the starter, hobble out, hand the football off, and come back out as the starter so Justin Fields could go back in. This isn't surprise by any means. And again, we're not saying this is the wrong decision, but Mike Tomlin told you day number 1, Justin Fields will not be our starter in the first game of the season.
Again, there were odds associated with the starting quarterback job in both New England. Jacoby Brissett was a hefty favorite, and Russell Wilson greater than a $5 favorite entering the preseason finale for the Steelers last week in Detroit, where Russ and Justin Fields both played in week number 3, leading us to believe maybe the quarterback competition was still open to end out preseason and training camp, although it's really been Russell Wilson all along. We'll look at what this means for the Steelers in 2024. It's year 18 under Mike Tomlin. More of the same. Find out next.
Sharpest football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Carlos Alcaraz has won the last 2 Grand Slam titles at the French Open on the clay and at Wimbledon earlier this summer. He enters as the favorite.
You have a bunch of depth there. Francis Tiafoe, Ben Shelton. They will likely play in round 3. The winner would play Djokovic, most likely, which would be an incredible match. I like Ben Shelton as a sleeper. If Djokovic is hurt, you never know. I think Shelton's actually the guy that gets hot. The conditions favor him.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
When you're really, really amazing like this, people kind of take it for granted. Same with Ohtani, right? People will sort of see, oh, Ohtani did this, Ohtani did that, and it sort of, becomes normalized a little bit. But to put in context, Aaron Judge joins the 1,000 hit club, reaches, gets it done. So earlier this month, he was the fastest player to reach 300 home runs ever.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The leftover language would be the million shy of what Jefferson makes Jefferson a better player. If you want to believe that, I'm not sure I buy that he's that much better than CeeDee Lamb.
Tony Pollard's gone. He's now with the Titans. I was with the Titans a couple weeks ago. He'll be their starting running back there. They're going a different direction in Dallas, but it's all about CeeDee Lamb right now, the first of the other deals that they have to get done.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Russell Wilson has been named the starter in Pittsburgh. So now what does 2024 have in store for the Steelers. Year number 18 under Mike Tomlin. We have said it numerous times, and I'm sure you've heard it elsewhere, that in all 17 years, the Steelers have never had a losing record under Tomlin. They've never won less than 8 games in any individual season, whether it was 16 or now 17 games. A playoff team a season ago, and a team that has been consistently successful, DRS, despite an offense that has lagged behind the defensive side of the football, even with Big Ben Roethlisberger under center in the final few years of his NFL career. 8.5, the win total for Pittsburgh this year. The under has the hefty juice. Plus 186 is the number for the Pittsburgh Steelers to make the postseason, as they did a season ago. You saw the schedule on your screen, and it is considered the most difficult schedule in the National Football League. So Russell Wilson is the starter in the Steel City. What is your outlook for the Steelers this year?
It's not great. And the reason I say that is if you took the Steelers out of that division, Ben, and put them again in a different division, you might be able to tangle and try to win 9 to 10 games, maybe even get into the playoffs by winning the division. That's not going to happen. The Baltimore Ravens are better. If you get Jamar Chase under contract, the Cincinnati Bengals are better as well. And we'll see what happens with the Cleveland Browns. We know they have a lot of talent, but maybe they can't put it together with the running back injured to start the season. And quite frankly, the quarterback with a lot of question marks of a dead arm in camp. That's never a good look. But let's focus on the Pittsburgh Steelers here. What did I love about Russell Wilson through the first part of his career, Ben? It didn't matter who his offensive line was. And the reason I say that is most of the time, if you can't step up in the pocket and deliver a pass, you can't be a successful quarterback unless you're 6'5", right? Which we know Russell Wilson is not. He was unbelievable in Seattle because he could extend those plays and get the ball out to his wide receivers. You're still asking him to be that second, third, fourth, fifth year Russell Wilson now in Pittsburgh. Yeah. And I don't think that's the case. The reason I bring that up is let's just say Russell Wilson was in Philadelphia playing behind a solid offensive line, or Indianapolis, right? Hey, you know what? He's got more time in the pocket to make things happen. You look at that Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line, Ben, it's not very good. And it's not a young Russell Wilson. And you saw that already in the preseason. When that pocket breaks down, he's not as fast as he was in the past, taking sacks here. So that ball might come out even quicker and the plays can't develop, which was his charm in Seattle, where he could take the extra 2 seconds to get that wide receiver open. That's what I'm worried about. So when you look at the Steelers, does Justin Fields actually fit this offense better? Not because he's a better passer per se, but he can get out of the way and be mobile and say, you know what, if my offensive line isn't good, I can escape and make guys miss to extend plays and run the football myself. That's my worry for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have decent skill position players. They have a solid defense. Mike Tomlin is known for not losing seasons, right? And that's where we're going to hang our hat on. But the frank fact is that's a tough division. And my outlook is I don't think the Steelers make the playoffs.
Very difficult division, a very difficult slate for the Steelers. Part of the hope offensively in the Steel City is Arthur Smith is the new OC. Say what you want about him as a head coach for the Falcons the last 3 years, a 7-10 record in all 3 seasons at the helm in the ATL, but considered a bright offensive mind around the National Football League. Matt Canada, the former offensive coordinator, dispatched last year in the regular season, so now you have a new OC and an experienced quarterback in Russell Wilson. It was a disastrous 2-year tenure in Denver based on what the expectation was in the Mile High City. But last year, Russ was pretty good. 3,070 yards and 15 starts that he made, 26 touchdowns to only 8 INTs. Not necessarily prolific. He only threw for more than 250 yards 3 times in those 15 games, more than 300 twice in the first 3 games of the year when Denver was a disaster. But the big difference is just what is his ceiling and peak at this stage of his career. About to enter year number 13 in the National Football League, a decade in Seattle as the Seahawks quarterback. 9 Pro Bowl seasons in those 10 years. Of course, not a Pro Bowler either of the past 2 seasons for the Broncos. We will have plenty more around the National Football League in just a moment, and we'll stay in the division as well in the AFC North. It is part of the reason that Pittsburgh has the most difficult schedule in the National Football League. The team with the easiest schedule of the 4 teams that hail from the AFC North is the Cincinnati Bengals. And we'll talk about the Bengals' outlook that starts week number 1 next Sunday as a 9.5-point favorite against New England. Will Jamar Chase be out there for the Bengals? Donnie, give us a quick look and reaction. What do you think?
No.
Oh! We'll find out why up next.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Carlos Alcaraz has won the last two Grand Slam titles at the French Open on the clay and at Wimbledon earlier this summer. He enters as the favorite.
You have a bunch of depth there. Francis Tiafoe, Ben Shelton. They will likely play in round 3. The winner would play Djokovic, most likely, which would be an incredible match. I like Ben Shelton as a sleeper. If Djokovic is hurt, you never know. I think Shelton could actually be the guy that gets hot. The conditions favor him.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
When you're really, really amazing like this, people kind of take it for granted. Same with Otani, right? People will sort of see, oh, Otani did this, Otani did that, and it sort of, becomes normalized a little bit. But to put in context, Aaron Judge joins the 1,000 hit club, gets it done. So earlier this month, he was the fastest player to reach 300 home runs ever.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The leftover language would be the million shy of what Jefferson makes Jefferson a better player. If you want to believe that, I'm not sure I buy that he's that much better than CeeDee Lamb.
Tony Pollard's gone. He's now with the Titans. I was with the Titans a couple weeks ago. He'll be their starting running back there. They're going a different direction in Dallas, but it's all about CeeDee Lamb right now, the first of the other deals that they have to get done.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Jamar Chase situation in Cincinnati. It has by far been Donnie Rightside favorite topic of this National Football League offseason, into training camp, into the preseason weeks, and now just over a week out from the regular season beginning in Cincinnati. Of course, we are 1 week away from the season opener of the 2024 NFL campaign in Arrowhead, a place the Chiefs have hosted the Bengals in the AFC title game 2 of the previous 3 seasons. Could the Bengals get back there? That, of course, is now the expectation if Joe Burrow is fully healthy in Cincinnati. But will he have his top target, an LSU teammate in Jamar Chase? Earlier this week, Bengals head coach Zach Taylor dealing with a fluid situation in Jamar Chase's status on the practice field throughout camp and now as they get ready for week number 1. Said that Jamar Chase would be out there all week long at practice, no big deal. And then Taylor yesterday, as Chase showed up late to practice and only in street clothes, rocking the sunglasses, said candidly afterward, hey, maybe I put my foot in my mouth a little bit here. This is a day-to-day situation. So what does today hold? What does tomorrow hold? And most importantly, Donnie, what does Sunday, September 8th hold for Jamar Chase in the Bengals in their season opener against New England?
This is a big problem for the Bengals because, again, if anybody has played a sport before, you don't just want to get parachuted in a couple days before the game actually starts. And like, okay, I'm here. I know the playbook. We know how that works out. You need those reps. You need those contested catches. You need to be around the boys. You got to be all in those team meetings for a good preparation process to have a great season. Now, let's remove that from the equation. What have we known all the way through? If there was a precedent across the NFL that no matter what happens, the owners stick together and you are not going to get a new contract until you're at least in your final final year of playing with that guaranteed money. I would understand the situation. But Mike Brown and that ownership group are so far removed about the reality of the NFL. And you even saw yesterday. Say what you want, don't understand it here. Let's just say the private equity money coming in. All the owners like, yeah, we love that. Mike Brown's like, no, I don't love that. The only dissenting vote here, which lets you know a little bit about that organization and how in tune with the rest of the NFL they actually are. Yeah. If you remember a couple years ago when the NFL was in those strike process, it's always the smaller market teams like Mike Brown who always get yelled at from the other teams. And I'm just setting the stage here to try to prove my point. There was a time ago where the stadium itself was named after his father, and he thought that was important. But that was sort of holding up the process on him saying we don't have revenue streams like, let's just say, the Dallas Cowboys do. And I remember Jerry Jones at one of those owners' meeting going, you give me the rights to your stadium, I will sell it and make you $30 million a year. You're not being honest with what your revenue streams are actually here. So now we're taking a look at setting the stage where the wide receiver wants his money. Every single player around him, outside of right now Brandon Ayuk, who, by the way, is going to make like 3 or 4 times as much as Jamar Chase if they both play this season under the same contracts. That's not fair, and it doesn't make sense. If you are telling yourself that Jamar Chase is one of the best wideouts in football, and we're going to be a better team because he's here, why is he not signed yet? It doesn't make any sense. And you can extend that out 2 years. Then the extension kicks in. You can have Chase not holding out again for at least another 5 years and playing under a price point now that's going to be way cheaper, Ben, than what that price point is going to be next year, and get a happy, dedicated wide receiver. So let's just play devil's advocate quickly. Let's just say he doesn't get signed. You expect the season Jamar Chase is going to give him every single thing he can to get in that lineup. And the reason I bring this up is, and I'm not blaming, Lamar Jackson at this point, but do you remember Lamar Jackson? Hey, I got a little bit of a knee injury. That guy sat out like 7 or 8 weeks because why? He wasn't invested with the franchise and wasn't sure the franchise loved him back. Pay the guy. He will be 100% all in week number 1, but instead we're going to play this charade from Mike Brown and that organization. Embarrassing, Cincinnati.
And maybe since he can afford Jamar Chase not being there week 1, again, a 9.5-point home favorite against the Patriots. It is the largest spread of week 1. We say that more tongue-in-cheek. You want your guys out there from the very start of the season. I am optimistic about Cincinnati with the return of a fully healthy Joe Burrow, who really had an entire training camp and preseason not dealing with a lingering injury for the first time in his NFL career. But again, what makes zero fiscal sense, if you are Mike Brown and you are a little bit on the cheaper side, shall we say, then look at the financial numbers. And do not tell us at the very end of the offseason with your team reporting for training camp that contract conversations happened during the offseason, so now the time is done, like you just fast forward through the previous 4 or 5 months since the end of February. And it goes without saying. One of the reasons, Donnie, that Jalen Waddle, who was also a first-round pick alongside Chase in 2021, was paid this offseason with a large contract extension that has him as the highest-paid wide receiver, not among the 5 guys in the $30 million club. And you might be saying Jalen Waddle's not quite that level of a wide receiver, although very talented in South Florida, is because you average out what seems like a lucrative deal over the final 2 years of his rookie contract and make it more franchise-friendly. That's what I do not understand, why Cincinnati has played this game with Jamar Chase. You could have paid him $35 million, which is a lot. It would match Justin Jefferson for the highest ever contract, the richest ever contract of a non-quarterback in NFL history, but had the words, he matches Justin Jefferson as the richest wide receiver ever. And not next offseason saying, well, now we got to reset the market once again. None of it makes sense. I'm optimistic about the Bengals. I don't feel good about this situation with their best offensive player outside the quarterback room. Other notable additions and maneuvers yesterday. Dalvin Cook, a notable signing based on name and pedigree, not necessarily what he's going to add this year in Dallas, but the Cowboys do sign him. The Chiefs making a couple of moves, adding Samaj P. Ryan and snatching up Bailey Zappi off waiver wires. I saw a great tweet yesterday that Andy Reid's going to put Bailey Zappi in there to start week number 18 for KC and then trade him for a 4th-round pick that very next offseason. The 49ers signed Terrace Marshall Jr., a wide receiver that played with Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase at LSU, a 2nd-round draft pick now a few years ago. Allen Robinson makes his way to Detroit, and this was an interesting situation yesterday. Lewis Cine, former 1st-round pick, a safety out of Georgia for Minnesota. He was released by the Vikings. He was on waiver wires. He cleared. It seemed as though he was going to sign with the New York Jets. Psych, he's not going to Florham Park. He's going up to Orchard Park in Western New York. He's now signing with the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, it used to be a little bit more exciting, this cut-down day. But as you see, like the notable signings here, nobody really is going to have an impact whatsoever on the outcome of those teams here. You might bolster some of the depth, but it used to be some of the bigger names got released, and oh my goodness, where are they actually going to go? And by the way, just a quick closing point there on Jamar Chase. I always hear this
please.
too. Well, if you're an organization, Ben, you can't set the precedent for guys having a couple years left on their contract because everybody will do it. Do you not understand how this world works? Go back to the 1990s, Jimmy Johnson and the Dallas Cowboys. He told you flat out, Emmitt Smith sleeps in a meeting that's very important. He gently wakes him up and gives him a cup of coffee. The 3rd-string running back sleeps during that same meeting. He gets cut immediately and shown the door. Jamar Chase is a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. Yeah. If he wants more money, you pay him more money. Your 3rd-string tight end is not going to hold out with 2 years left on his rookie contract because he knows he can't do it, and he's not as a significant part of the team as Jamar Chase would be. Don't give me the precedent nonsense. If you have a great player, pay him as soon as you can, save the money, keep him happy. You'll be a better football team because of it, not penny pinching like the Brown family is doing now. They have a trio of wide receivers along with that quarterback that can be sensational, Ben, over the next 5 years. T. Higgins will be gone next year at this apparent rate. Jamar Chase will be gone as well. Congratulations, Cincinnati. You saved money on your payroll.
Greatness deserves a precedent being set, and that is Jamar Chase. Penei Sewell, remember it was the conversation in the draft, would the Bengals draft a big O-lineman out of Oregon to protect Joe Burrow or reunite him with his former LSU teammate? And with all the offensive line woes, they drafted Jamar Chase in front of Sewell, who, oh, by the way, was given a large contract extension to make him the highest paid O-lineman in the NFL before Christian Darrisaw got that money from Minnesota. But again, pay your guys when the time is right. Major League Baseball recaps next.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Carlos Alcaraz has won the last 2 Grand Slam titles at the French Open on the clay and at Wimbledon earlier this summer. He enters as the favorite.
You have a bunch of depth there. Francis Tiafoe, Ben Shelton. They will likely play in round 3. The winner would play Djokovic, most likely, which would be an incredible match. I like Ben Shelton as a sleeper. If Djokovic is hurt, you never know. I think Shelton's actually the guy that gets hot. The conditions favor him.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
When you're really, really amazing like this, people kind of take it for granted. Same with Ohtani, right? People will sort of see, oh, Ohtani did this, Ohtani did that, and it sort of, becomes normalized a little bit. But to put in context, Aaron Judge joins the 1,000 hit club, gets it done. So earlier this month, he was the fastest player to reach 300 home runs ever.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The leftover language would be the million shy of what Jefferson makes Jefferson a better player. If you want to believe that, I'm not sure I buy that he's that much better than CeeDee Lamb.
Tony Pollard's gone. He's now with the Titans. I was with the Titans a couple weeks ago. He'll be their starting running back there. They're going a different direction in Dallas, but it's all about CeeDee Lamb right now, the first of the other deals that they have to get done.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Around Major League Baseball, we go from a jam-packed Wednesday in what? Oh, you were just having too much fun with the NFL, and now we got to do MLB recaps?
Come on.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's go. Let's keep. We were ripping people. All right, you know what? There's a couple spots here that I can let rip in baseball, so I think I'll tide myself over and be fine with it. Let's do it. Yeah.
Listen, Rob Thompson started Taijuan Walker yesterday. We'll get there in just a moment. You could also rip the Royals for a disaster closing stretch against Cleveland yesterday. KC looking for a 4-game series sweep over the Guardians in the land, and it got off to a great start. Our two guys, Michael Massey and Vinny P, the Pasquatch Pasquantino, both homering in the top of the first. The Royals had a 5-2 lead after 6. The two teams entered yesterday tied for the top spot in the American League Central. The Royals were looking at the first place alone by themselves in the division. But then the Guardians rally, scoring 4 runs in the in the bottom of the 7th, adding on some insurance in the 8th. They come all the way back to win 7-5 over KC, avoiding the sweep and standing back atop the American League Central with a game advantage.
Yeah, Walker was left in just a little bit too long in that game, but good teams like the Cleveland Guardians are going to be able to pull out some of these type of victories where you thought it was going to be a loss. But I got to tell you, I was actually rooting, and I didn't have a single wager on the Royals or the Guardians on the season or the game yesterday. I just wanted to see, can the Royals go in there and beat the Guardians again and take that psychological advantage we've been fighting all season long? Now we are actually in first place. That's such a big-time win for the Guardians, just not to let them get that leg up on saying, you know what, now we passed you, you're in the rearview mirror, and watch us try to extend this lead. To have a comeback victory for the Guardians in that big of a spot in late August, that was something to watch and gives you a little bit of hope saying that fight is still there. Because I would have loved to have seen if Kansas City took control of that division and if they were able to keep control of that division heading into early September.
Yeah. So Kansas City now 15-10 in the month of August. Cleveland entered dropping 6 of their last 8, 9 of their last 12. The Guardians have been a streaky team really all year, but certainly in the second half. So Cleveland now atop the American League Central with a game lead. John Kenzie Noel has been great for Cleveland in August. Both of the Naylor brothers in RBI in that 4-run 7th inning to start the rally. Yesterday in L.A., World Series preview. Question mark. The Dodgers even up this midweek set against Baltimore with a 6-4 victory against the O's. The Dodgers were an ever so slight favorite yesterday, minus 110 on the money line with Walker Buehler on the bump, making his 3rd start since returning here in the month of August. Corbin Burns on the other side for Baltimore. Only allowed 1 earned. Much better yesterday, which is what you would expect out of the O's ace. But he does record the loss. I say much better yesterday because in his 4 previous starts in August, he had allowed a combined 20 earned runs. Unfortunately, his pitching performance is not rewarded. The Dodgers win 6-4.
This was one of those games yesterday, Ben. You just looked at the price point and said, let me get this straight here. Because we know Corbin Burns is not the same pitcher that he was in April, May, and early June. He's been struggling as of late, but still the better pedigree pitcher than Walker Buehler. And he said, wait a second, Walker Buehler's coming back from injury, just trying to find his way. That's not exactly the same thing as Corbin Burns, just struggling out there on the mound. But you do see an interesting thing. He went 5 innings and gave up 5 hits, which isn't great. You would like to get that a little bit lower, but 6 runs combined, but only 1 of those earned. So his defense wasn't helping him out at all. And if you're going to play the Dodgers, here's what we talk about, Ben, and sometimes it's rudimentary. Don't give a really good baseball team extra outs in an inning. You are going to get beat. And that's exactly what happened yesterday with the Baltimore Orioles. So solid win for the Dodgers at a cheap price, but it's hard to say and look at that box score and say 5 innings pitched, 6 earned runs. Boy, Burns is back at it, and he's his bad self. That's not really the case yesterday. It would have been interesting to see if there were no errors made and how he actually would have pitched and fared, because not only are you giving him extra outs, you're wasting extra pitches here. So maybe Burns could have gone another inning here to help the Orioles out. But the Dodgers picked up the victory as expected by me yesterday. We just saw it going a little bit differently as planned here from a pitching perspective.
In DRS, when you look at Walker Buehler, similar story on that side. 2 earned runs given up, but 4 runs scored by Baltimore while he was in. The most pitches he has thrown in his 3 starts in August at 90, but never more than 5 innings of work. Shohei Ohtani led off the game for LA yesterday with a solo shot. Home run 42. He stole 2 bases later in the game as well. Stolen bases 41 and 42. The guy has 42 home runs and 42 stolen bags, both the second most in MLB. He's going to pitch next year. Once again, we would expect, although I'm not even sure you need it at this point to be considered the best player in baseball. The Dodgers have won 7 of their last 9 games. Baltimore continues to flirt with mediocrity, 12-13 in August, 19-19 since the All-Star break. They just can't get above 500 by more than a couple of games in August or since the All-Star break. All right, you wanted to slam people like we did in our NFL news and notes. Here's your chance. Taijuan Walker got roughed up yesterday and outdueled by Spencer Arrighetti for Houston. The Astros avoid the sweep in this midweek matchup against Philadelphia. Yordan Alvarez goes deep 3 separate times, and the Stros win 10-0 at the bank.
18 hits against the Philadelphia Phillies yesterday, which was embarrassing, but you still could say, well, the Phillies won the series and that's all that matters. Yes, but how you got to that series win. We talked about just a few days ago, but remember the doubleheader between the Guardians and the Royals? And I said to myself, you know what? These games are so meaningful right now that if you are the Kansas City Royals or the Guardians and you win game number 1, you're hitting the gas pedal for game number 2 because of how important that is. So if Rob Thompson had managed the Kansas City Royals a couple days ago, they would have won game number 1 and got slaughtered in game number 2 because apparently those games don't matter. And yes, the Phillies had already won the series against the Astros. Taijuan Walker is a terrible pitcher. You are fighting right now with a massive series on deck, trying to win every game you can to make sure you stay ahead of the Atlanta Braves and also the Dodgers per se for the number 1 overall seed. You can't throw away baseball games. And I could almost see Ben's like, you know what? The Marlins are in town or the Nationals are in town with a bad pitcher. Hey, Taijuan, this is the perfect scenario to get out there and see what you can do. Not against a Houston Astros team that was clawing and scraping to try to at least get 1 game here. You can't wave the white flag at home and just take an awful loss like that because you wanted to see what Taijuan Walker had when everybody knew what Taijuan Walker had. Absolutely nothing. That's terrible for the Phillies yesterday.
13 base knocks allowed by Walker. That's tied for the most in a single game this year. More Major League Baseball recaps on the other side on TEL.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Carlos Alcaraz has won the last 2 Grand Slam titles at the French Open on the clay and at Wimbledon earlier this summer. He enters as the favorite.
You have a bunch of depth there. Francis Tiafoe, Ben Shelton. They will likely play in round 3. The winner would play Djokovic, most likely, which would be an incredible match. I like Ben Shelton as a sleeper. If Djokovic is hurt, you never know. I think Shelton could actually be the guy that gets hot. The conditions favor him.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
When you're really, really amazing like this, people kind of take it for granted. Same with Ohtani, right? People will sort of see, oh, Ohtani did this, Ohtani did that, and it sort of, becomes normalized a little bit. But to put in context, Aaron Judge joins the 1,000 hit club, gets it done. So earlier this month, he was the fastest player to reach 300 home runs ever.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The leftover language would be the million shy of what Jefferson makes Jefferson a better player. If you want to believe that, I'm not sure I buy that he's that much better than CeeDee Lamb.
Tony Pollard's gone. He's now with the Titans. I was with the Titans a couple weeks ago. He'll be their starting running back there. They're going a different direction in Dallas, but it's all about CeeDee Lamb right now, the first of the other deals that they have to get done.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Game 2 of a very impactful series out in the desert between the Diamondbacks and the New York Mets. The Amazons victorious in game number 1 on Tuesday night. Wednesday evening, the Mets look good once again. With a couple of outs in the 8th, Edwin Diaz walks in. No trumpets, of course, in Arizona. And the trumpets really haven't been a blessing this year at Citi Field either. Edwin Diaz blows his 6th save of the year, looking for a 4-out save. He walked a couple of batters in the home half of the 8th to load the bases, and Corbin Carroll says thank you very much. A grand salami to put the Diamondbacks in front. 8-5, Arizona holds on for an 8-5 victory, rallying against the Mets.
We thought we would get some runs in this game, and certainly late close that total here as you get 13 total runs. But also take a look at the two pitchers. Severino, 4 2/3 innings pitched, 4 earned runs. You take a look at Rodriguez, 5 1/3 innings pitched, 5 earned runs. We thought those two guys would be susceptible, I should say, to those two lineups, but particularly from a Diamondbacks perspective. You put a right-handed pitcher on that mound, the Diamondbacks have sliced and diced you over the past 30 days. But shout out Diaz here, right? I guess he's saving all his bullets left in his arm for the next World Baseball Classic. He got hammered yesterday. He was one of the single best closers in baseball. Now struggling to find his way, man. It can go quickly on you.
He got injured for Puerto Rico in the WBC. It was shocking news for the New York Mets. How dare you bring that up? But because of the loss, the Mets have now fallen 4 games back of the Atlanta Braves in the National League wild card chase. Arizona maintains the top spot, a game up over the Diamondbacks. The Mets' victory in the series opener against Arizona earlier this week snapped a 6-game win streak for the D-backs, who are now 27-9 since the All-Star break. Chris Sale, great once again yesterday on the bump. His 15th win of the season. That's the best in MLB. In a series where between the Braves and the Twins to start off the first 2 games, we saw some runs, which has not been the case for Atlanta in large part all of this season, but certainly as of late. 16 runs in game 1, 14 more in game 2. Last night, just 6, but the story the same. The Braves, as a road favorite in Minneapolis, sweep the Twins. It has allowed Atlanta to extend their lead for that 3rd and final NL wildcard position to 4 games.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get it under in this game, and we did. Got a little dicey late in that game, but I thought we had a pretty good pitching performance matchup yesterday with Chris Sale, one of the better analytical pitchers over the past 60 days and, quite frankly, for the season. And Festa, who had a rough start here to his career in Minnesota, he's actually been very good analytical-wise over the past 60 days as well. He went 6 innings pitched and 2 earned runs to give his team a fighting chance, but the Atlanta Braves were just a better team. Now, moving forward for the Braves, they're going to have a 4-game set against the Philadelphia Phillies. You know who you actually would have liked to start it in that 4-game set? It was Chris Sale, but it's just a matter of the rotation. And when it comes up, he was phenomenal yesterday. Won't pitch over the next 4 days. Maybe that helps the Philadelphia Phillies, but the Braves are a quality ball club. Look like they're starting to hit at the plate, getting that pitching around that they need. It's just how they set it up. By the way, let me just take a quick look here. Oh, Whit Merrifield. Okay, please. Back to business. 0 for 5 yesterday. All right, the world is healing.
But a former Brave who is now a current Brave, Jorge Soler, the 2022 World Series MVP for Atlanta, a home run yesterday. Great in the field as well. Matt Olson, a couple of RBIs. So 15-3 now the record for Sale. That's the most in Major League Baseball alongside Tarek Skubal. Lowers the ERA after 6 innings of work, only allowing a single earned run to 2.58. That's the best mark in all of MLB. Sale had only earned 1 decision in his last 6 starts. It was a win yesterday to get back above with 15 wins. 2 earned runs or less for Chris Sale in his last 14 starts in a row. Skeens Day number 18 in the history of Major League Baseball, spoiled by the bullpen. 5 innings of work, 2 earned runs given up, 6 strikeouts when Skeens left the game. His Pittsburgh team had an 8-3 lead, only for the Cubbies to come all the way back. 11 unanswered runs scored in the final 3 innings, including 6 in the top of the 9th to win 14-10 inside PNC Park.
Yeah, if you're not winning with Skeens on the mound, what are you doing in Pittsburgh at this point? And by the way, what happened to the Chicago Bats this week in what's supposed to be a pitcher-friendly ballpark in Pittsburgh? They were absolutely sensational, and you saw them close out that game. 2 in the 7th, 3 in the 8th, 6 in the 9th. They were getting smoked in this game and then returned the favor and smoked the Pittsburgh Pirates. As a batter, we've watched it all the time, man. Sometimes those bullpens really let you down, and yesterday, the Pittsburgh Pirates bullpen, they really let down Paul Skeens.
The Cubbies complete the sweep. San Diego, game 3 of a 4-game set in St. Louis. Nolan Arenado walks it off for the Cards to snap a 3-game win streak for the Padres. It's a college football Thursday when Hour 2 kicks off in just a couple of minutes.